Good evening, everybody. I'm Suzanne Shirley, Emerald Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and we are doing Romi Neustadt's Get Over Your Damn Self. Romi Neustadt is a 7-figure annual earner. She's a millionaire in her company. She's at the top of her company. I think she's one of the top earners in her company. So is her husband. She is a former trial attorney, no longer has to do that, working hourly wages, billing her clients for hourly salary. Her husband no longer has to work by hourly salary as well, because no matter what they do, whether they see clients or they see patients, they were paid by time and not residual income. So both of them are masters at this profession. I have to say that a lot of the things that she has said to us in these chapters are absolutely eye-opening. So if this is your first shot look at the book or watching one of these videos, I highly challenge you to buy the book on Amazon and go through the chapters one by one and really look at yourself and what you're doing in your business. Take a long look at yourself. Take some notes, do some reflection, and start applying the concepts that are in these chapters. Some of them are way more confrontational than others. I think last chapter was so confrontational that it sent us over the top. I know it did me. And this chapter is way less confrontational, but equally as important of a topic. She calls it karma's a bitch if you are. In other words, like whatever you put out there in the world is going to come back to you. I love that she uses the golden rule, because the golden rule is a biblical principle. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. And that's basically a rule to live by. Those are the words of Christ. And, you know, karma is not a biblical principle, but it is, I think biblical principles are working definitely in our world today. Whatever you put out in the world, whatever negativity, you're going to get back in some way, shape, or form. If you put out positivity, if you put out helping others, if you think of others before yourself, if you are selfless, if you are doing the bidding of God and you are on a mission to please Him and not please mankind, then all of that will come back into great blessings and reward. But at the same time, if you sow, it's like the idea of sowing and reaping. So if you sow the seeds of bitterness and anger and jealousy and resentment and comparison and stealing other people's people in the business, discouraging others, not encouraging others, whatever the case may be, you're gonna reap that. So whatever you sow, you're gonna reap. In fact, somebody could quote if you want to quote it to me in the comments. I'm sure that there's a scripture for it that I think it's like more than just once. It's like something times, many times it will come back to you. I think blessings are promised to you more in multiples. I don't know how much the cursing is promised to you more in multiples, but if somebody is the biblical expert and you have a scripture that you could share, I would love to do that, because I love looking at things through a biblical lens, because I am such a believer. I don't think Romi Neustadt looks at things through a biblical lens. That's not what she's here to do, but I know a lot of us are believers, and that's what we do. So how should we be treating? The karma rule is threefold. Okay. That makes sense. You're hateful to somebody, you're mean to somebody, you take away something from somebody, you take away someone's opportunity, you steal something from someone, whether it's a client or whatever the heck it is, it could come back to bite you more than once, okay? More than once. So the idea of this chapter is how we should be treating other people. How should we be treating other people when it comes to our business in Plexus? We're talking about here, it's not intended to chastise or scare anybody. It's not intended to do that. In fact, these kinds of shenanigans, at least in Romi's personal experience, are the exception and not the rule. Again, the exception and not the rule. I think there are many amazing, wonderful people in this company. In fact, I know I know for a fact there are way, way, way more amazing people who have the right intentions, who put others before themselves, than the opposite. Okay? You're always going to have some folks that spoil the pot. But you're going to have, I think the majority of the people in our company have the right intentions, and we are so blessed by that. But let's talk about the basics of how we should be treating other people in our businesses to protect everyone, and then we all know better how to do it. Okay, the golden rule, obviously, treat others as you want others to be treating you, should be the guiding principle for your business. And then she always talks about, what about the karma principle? What we put out in the world is what we get back. What we put out in the world is what we get back. And you know that this entire business is based upon duplication. Duplication. So pretend that you are out there duplicating the bad stuff, doing something bad. Well, guess what? Even if you don't realize you're doing it, it's going to start duplicating. You do not want the duplication process to start with something that you shouldn't be doing. So you might know or you might not know that you're doing something wrong, but everything duplicates. And wouldn't you want to duplicate kindness, generosity, professionalism, and ethical actions? Absolutely. We all would want to duplicate that. For sure. We want to surround ourselves with those characteristics. So she's got about 3 different concepts that she talks about here in this chapter of some of the big things that she's run across where people in the business don't necessarily do the ethical thing. And so the first thing that she talks about is what if you bump into others? Now she means bump into, meaning you start talking to a prospect who's interested in joining you, but that prospect has found out originally about the business from someone else. Someone else started the ball rolling. Someone else shared the business opportunity or the products. So someone else gave them a sample. Someone else has been reaching out. Someone else has been following up. But you are the one that they're talking to right now. Okay, so how do you know that? And what do you do to find that out? And what do you do if that happens? Well, you do the right thing and you push her right back to where she came from. That's Romi's advice. She talks about it being called the pushback. You push her back. Push her back to where she came from. Lead her right directly back to the ambassador that she was originally talking to. Okay? Tell them how great this gig is, how wonderful your products or services are, and that they should be tripping over themselves to get in touch with that other business builder that originally shared with them. It does not matter if you know or if you do not know the other business builder. If you like her or not, doesn't matter, okay? Do not analyze, rationalize, or intellectualize this decision. Just push her right back to where she came from, because that's exactly what you would want someone to do for you. And that is the truth. If someone that you are prospecting runs into someone else out there in Plexus land and they find out they've originally been working with you, don't you want that other Plexus ambassador to push your prospect right back to you? Now that would be integrity-based business. So even if the person that she has already talked to is in your upline, okay? Sometimes we do that. We all know the same people, some of us. Okay, I'm not saying we all do, but a lot of us have some of the same friends or some of the same people that we talk to in a roundabout manner of speaking. So if you start talking to somebody and that person wants to join you or is thinking about it or is toying with the idea, but the original person who reached out or who has followed up and been working with them is your sponsor or someone in your upline, do not just assume that if you add that person to your team that your sponsor or your upline is going to benefit. Trust me, that sponsor or that upline really does care about the fact that you've done that, and they notice it, and that is not ethical. Okay, so really, really think long and hard, do some questioning, get some questions answered, okay? And don't just ignore the prior conversations that someone in your upline has had with that person. You need to push that person right on back to the person that they came from. That's how you would want to be treated by your own team. So imagine that you have a team of 1,000 people and somebody on your third level starts talking to one of your prospects and immediately they sponsor that person underneath them. Are you going to say, hey, no problem, go right ahead? I mean, you can't really do anything about it once it's happened. But you would want your person on your third level to send them right back to you, wouldn't you? Because that's the right thing to do. You send them right back to where they came from. So if somebody you're talking to has an ongoing relationship with another business builder in your company even, but the prospect is uncomfortable. So here's the thing. How does she say that you send them back? So let's say that you find out that somebody that is trying to join you has already to talk to somebody else in the business, okay? The best thing that you want to do is send them to talk. Okay, if they want to decide, they want to make a decision to join you. In other words, they've talked to this other person before. They were introduced to Plexus by this original ambassador, but now they're talking to you and they're convinced. They just want to join you. They're making the decision to join you. The best thing for you to do is tell them, look, I would love to have you join my team, but you have been in communication with this other ambassador. And it's still quite recent that you guys have had a conversation. So what you should do is make them turn around and go, the prospect needs to turn around and go back to the original ambassador and have a conversation with them and let them know specifically, hey, I hope there's no hurt feelings. I don't want to hurt your feelings, but I've had a change of heart and I really want to join this other person. She and I have been chatting. We've made a connection, XYZ. I relate to her, whatever the case may be, and I have decided I want to join her. Now, that is that prospect's decision. But it's your responsibility to send your prospect back to the original ambassador. And something that Romi points out is this: if that prospect is not willing to have a frank, professional discussion with the other business owner, she doesn't really have the cojones to build this business. She doesn't. Or the respect for you to keep you clean and start your relationship off on the right foot. Okay? And that's the truth. Keep you clean. Meaning that person, that prospect is going to join you, but she originally talked to Joe Blow over here. Joe Blow is going to catch wind about it and be very upset. Now, if that prospect goes and has a conversation with Joe Blow, now things can at least be explained before the new relationship takes place and that prospect joins you. But it's up to the prospect to be assertive. You don't have to be aggressive, but be assertive and let that person know. And if they're unwilling to do that and they don't have the guts to go and have a real conversation with the person that introduced them, I mean, what are they going to actually do on your team? So what if somebody contacts you out of the blue by, like, for example, what if you're contacted right out of the blue on social media by a stranger and they say, wow, Suzanne, I saw your presentation on your timeline that you shared at one point, and I have been watching you, and I really do want to join your team. Well, guess what? That's a huge surprise. That's a really great thing, right? Always ask how they have heard about your company and your products, which helps you to discover if they've been having prior conversations and people that you need to push back to. So if they've talked to other people, you'll find that out. However, it doesn't always lead to the truth. If you start talking to these people, it doesn't always lead them to tell you the truth. And you have to just go with your gut. You need to go with your gut. So your gut is going to lead you a lot of the times in the right direction, but you have to listen to it. When you ignore your gut, that's when you get into big trouble. And so Romi has a really, really sad story that she told where she enrolled a prospect also who had been introduced to the business by two of Romi's team members underneath her. in her downline. So Romi sponsors this girl, but didn't realize, because the girl had kept the information from Romi, that the girl had been talking to two of the other people in Romi's downline. Romi had no idea. So what happened? It turns out that the two other business builders that she had talked to were on Romi's team. She had not fully made it clear to them why she didn't want to join their teams. And she didn't tell Romi that she had heard about Romi's info call through one of those girls on her team. So the team member, like many of on our team, okay, used the call to help her close prospects and grow her team. It's a call that Romi would use with her team to help her team close prospects. And that's how this prospect had heard of Romi Neustadt, because Romi was on the call. So the prospect just reached out straight to Romi and did not go back to the two girls that had shared it. All right. But Romi was the one that ended up enrolling her. So yuck, yuck, yuck to that, without any idea of what she had done. So what ensued, she said, was an absolute cluster, a horrible storm of people that were exasperated, extremely hostile, and angry at what she had done. Her own team, they felt betrayed. Extremely betrayed, and they didn't trust her after that. They thought that she was out to steal away their prospects. I mean, imagine what that would feel like. So you could say that based on the facts, Romi says, I had followed the ethical rules of asking the questions and pushing the person back, so all was cool, right? But it wasn't. Romi says, I failed them all by not doing enough fact-finding about the people, by the other people that the prospect was talking to, in order to find out the truth. And so she says, I ignored that really slightly icky feeling in my gut that something was wrong about this situation. So even if you could argue that she was available, she was undeniably flighty. This is the prospect. The prospect was available, but she was undeniably flighty or squirrely, and she was not really a good prospect. And the longer you talk to people, the more you're going to get that gut feeling about somebody. The more you're going to get that gut feeling. Sometimes people will throw you for a curve. They will just throw you for a loop. I'll give you an example. Now, this has nothing to do with this topic right here. But I had a girl last week who was going to join my team on Friday. She was the winner of a 3-day trial giveaway that I had run on my team page, on my personal timeline, and in a garage sale. She friended me personally. We actually started talking. We got on the phone. She was a mom, stay-at-home mom in Arkansas. Her husband was a farmer. She had many different health issues. She was overweight. I don't think she was obese, but she needed to lose some weight. And she was miserable because of the health conditions that she had. But she was like, I'm so excited about this pink drink thing. And she got in the 7-day challenge, and she posted pictures of herself with her pink drink. She was excited. She was going to get started. We even made an appointment to get back on the phone on Friday, this last Friday, to sign her up. Okay, so we had already had one phone conversation for about 30 minutes. She had been in the group. We made a full-on connection. I made it all about her. All I did was love on her and shower her with kindness and affection. Okay, phone conversation supposed to take place at 4 p.m. on a Friday afternoon. Okay, I go to call her, and I get sent immediately to this weird message that says such and such is not taking messages. I thought that was weird. So I couldn't leave a voicemail. And then I thought, I wonder if she blocked me. So I went out to Facebook, and I saw that she had blocked me from messaging her on Messenger. But we were still friends. And I thought, wow. Immediately I'm like, I feel so sorry for you. In the past, now this has nothing to do with me joining somebody up that's unethical, okay? But I'm just telling you, people will surprise you. You will get the feeling that somebody in your gut, you'll have this gut feeling. This is going to be amazing. This girl is going to do great. but then sometimes your gut will fool you, and you don't know what people are going to do. People will surprise you. I think that's probably my point in saying this. People will surprise you. So she blocked me from messaging her. And in the past, I would have looked at that and said, how could you do this to me? How could you do that to me? I gave you free product. I mailed it out to you in the mail. I sent you free samples. I sent you a catalog. I wrote you a personal note. I took the time to call you. How could you do that to me? Now I look at that and I go, well, I'm disappointed, first of all, but I that's a passing, fleeting thing. I look at that and I say, wow, how horrible for her. You know, she's really messing out. And then I say to myself, thank you, God, for sparing me having to deal with her on my team, because like Romi would say, she doesn't have the cojones to do this thing. She doesn't have it. Okay. Most likely she was so excited. She went and told her husband, and her husband completely deflated her little bubble and said, absolutely under no uncertain terms are you doing this thing, and said, get rid of this woman. She's a perfect stranger. You don't know her from Adam. Out the door. And that's what happened. So what I'm saying is, I guess Romi's saying that your gut will tell you. Sometimes your gut won't tell you, because people surprise you and they can pull a fast one on you. So be careful. Yes, listen to your gut. But Romi says, since I have the ironclad rule to never bring someone direct to me who has talked to others on our team first, no matter how unsuccessful my pushback is, I will not do it. If they've talked to somebody on her team first, she won't do it. It causes way too much anguish, a lot of heartache, personal angst, lots of time and energy on a situation that does not need to be had. She says, I have learned that flighty, squirrely people in your funnel, right? They grow really flighty, squirrely businesses, which is easy to say that they won't grow. They won't grow a business in the first place. So remember, everything duplicates. And I will say this. I was glad. I looked at that girl and I said, I am so glad, honestly, sorry for her, but glad that I didn't have to end up wasting more of my time trying to work with a girl who doesn't even have the belief enough to not put up from opposition from her significant other long enough to see that Plexus works, because she was not out of money. They had plenty of money to buy the product, but she was obviously, controlled, I guess, to a certain extent. Okay. And the next thing that Romi talks about is this idea or this concept that you have to have a local team to be successful in your company. Hello, my team is all over the country. The biggest part of my team is in many different states, not in the Oklahoma area. So even though I do, yes, have a local team, absolutely I do, my biggest part of my team, the most numbers of my team are in other states, in Arizona and in Massachusetts and Wisconsin and North Carolina, to name a few, and also in Texas and, in Oregon and Northern California and Idaho and Indiana and many other states in the country. So, if you're going to build a big business, you need to be open to building outside of your local area. So if you believe that local is better, confined to only your city, your town, or your surrounding area, you're not taking full advantage of our social commerce business that annihilates geographical limitations. And what is that called? A turnkey savvy entrepreneur in the digital age. Hello, the internet is the open door to the rest of the world. There are over 3 billion, you heard that right, over 3 billion people on Facebook. Not all of them speak English. A whole heck of a lot of them do. And we have over 330 million in this country alone. Population growing all the time. This strategy is 100% against the supportive, collaborative culture that is one of the best parts of our profession. And in our company, we call it one plexus. One plexus. So if you have an ambassador that lives in a different state and there's a diamond or a jewel there or somebody that's doing a meeting and you want to send your ambassador to that person's meeting, it's called one plexus. If somebody outside of our team wants to do a part of our challenge, sometimes I let them in. You know, as long as I'm not offering a bunch of prizes or whatever, I can't pay for everybody else's team's prizes. But I certainly do not want to impede the success of anybody else in Plexus if I could do something to help them in the short term. So I think that that is the best policy to run by. To pull someone away from a long distance sponsor to enroll locally or to create the fear that they won't be accepted or supported is against our company's code of ethics and most likely against your company's as well. So if you tell someone that you know, don't join that person over there across the country, even though there's somebody that you highly trust and you've known your whole life. Join me local because I'm right here and I can help you. That's a bunch of malarkey because we have video conferencing, we have emails, we have phones, we have FaceTime, we've got Skype, we've got everything known to man. We also have a good thing called a plane. We can actually get on a plane and come see somebody. Not that you even need to. You don't need to be on a plane and be physically present there to help someone to grow their business. I have teams all over the country that are building, and I get to see them maybe once a year or even less. Some of them I've never met before. And so it just goes to show you, you can do that. Now, what about this last thing that she talks about? Follow meeting and event etiquette. In other words, treat other people's prospects at events with kindness and hospitality and don't try to steal them away. If somebody's prospect from somebody else's team out of state shows up at your meeting because you're a local meeting that lives near them, you need to treat them as if they are a part of your team, but don't try to steal them away from the person that sent them to the team or to that meeting. You don't want to steal away anybody's prospect, ever. So at meetings, you need to treat all prospects with sincerity, devotion, kindness, and hospitality, and don't try to steal them away from the person that sent them to the meeting. Even if that person can't be there because they're out of state or they didn't have the time in their schedule to show up. Don't try to steal them away. Obviously, I don't think anyone on our team would do that. She says there's this local schmokel thing that's rearing its ugly head with our events. Builders often send prospects to other events in other markets, and those people are supposed to feel welcomed and embraced and made to feel like they're a part of the local community, even if their upline lives somewhere else. But she says they hear about all these poaching things, these events. People are poaching away these prospects from the people that can't be at the event. And it really is not attractive. She says, okay, I can't say this word. I won't say it. Don't make stuff up. Don't make up stuff. Don't make stuff up. Okay? It sounds way more fun if you say the real S word there. Don't make blankety blank up. Just don't make it up. Be real about what's real, what it takes to build your business. Don't ever tell somebody this is the easiest thing on the planet to do. Do not lie to them. It is not a lottery ticket. It takes a lot of hard work, perseverance, determination, and a never die spirit. And you need to instill that in these people. They need to understand, look, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year, maybe not even 2 years. But you will grow and you will earn, and you can learn this while you earn it. But it is not a free ride. So don't lie to people. Don't embellish your stats. Don't embellish your company stats. Don't doctor up before and after pictures. And for the love of God, do not steal any other company's before and after photos. Of course, I can't imagine anyone on our team would even do that. I mean, I haven't even thought one thought in my mind about doing something like that. I mean, I just can't even imagine. Don't assume that since a colleague posted something, here's something I have made a mistake with. And I know some of you guys, if you'll raise your hand, do you relate to this? We see a diamond posting something out there and we think, well, that's the godsend news. I'm just going to repost that. She's obviously the right thing here. She's a diamond. Uh-oh. You need to stop and do a gut check. Stop and do a gut check. Do not assume that since a colleague posted something that it's true. And don't blindly post something just because somebody else did. Look at it and think to yourself, is this something that you would actually say yourself? Is this something that you could put your name by, that you could stand up with? And get this. This is something really big. Do not post an implied celebrity endorsement of your business or your product unless that famous person has a contract with your company or is your personal customer or your own personal business partner. Okay, like Oprah Winfrey represents our company because she was caught saying the other day, blah, 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 when she was on the street in an interview. Or, you know, they've got some picture of her in a magazine and Oprah Winfrey openly endorses something, okay? It's laughable. It's laughable. And we need to not do that. I don't see us doing that, but I was going back to the post that I did the other day of that famous country singer whose mother is a Plexus ambassador, and he has an actual post on social media on, I want to say Instagram, and he talked about how Plexus is the greatest thing ever, and you need to get yourself some because his whole life has changed. You know, that was an actual post that he did. It's not like I'm using him as a celebrity endorsement. He actually made that post. And I think that that idea that I just quoted is outside the realm of what's being discussed here. It's not like I'm going and grabbing this guy and making a comment or making a claim that he represents our company when he never said so. Because there's evidence out there that he did say so. Okay, so she's like, aren't you glad I went to law school? That's what she says. Last thing that I'm going to say, even if you've done some of these things, it's okay. Just because you did that so-called mean, maybe underhanded, maybe really terrible, horrible thing, you're not a bad person. You're not. You just had bad behavior. And now you just need to know the difference. So once you know the difference, you'll make better choices in the future. And every mistake is an opportunity to learn and to grow. All right. Every day there are wonderful opportunities to make good decisions and that help people build other people up and make you and your business stronger. Every day there is. Okay. If you find yourself wanting to editorialize or spin anything at all, or make an excuse about something, you know it's not passing your BS meter. What is your BS meter? Well, you know what BS is. She makes the suggestion that if you think something is not on the up and up, and you think it might be false or not a good idea or wrong or ethically immoral, go and find a 5-year-old to a 13-year-old and run it by them without editorializing and without spinning. Just say, if mommy did XYZ, would it be right or wrong? And most 5-year-olds to 13-year-olds will be able to say, that's wrong, mom, because they have a big BS meter. So Romi says to run it by your 5 to 13-year-old and certainly run it through your own BS meter. And if you're trying to spin and you're trying to editorialize, then that's your gut check right there that it's the wrong choice. Don't do it. Okay, do what's right or karma will get you. Make good decisions. Now you know better. Okay, so with that, we have ended and a very short meeting tonight. So thank you for joining us. We're going to have our awesome discussion, our team meeting. We're going to love and support each other on this amazing journey. Thank you guys for joining us. Mwah. Good night.